Hey friends, it is me, Laura A. Grace, and I am not starting my video reviews as I usually do, and I did that purposeful today, to be honest, because as hopefully quite a few people know, if you follow me on Instagram at Laura Meets Manga, that has laura.meets.manga, then you know that I have been making my way through Fruits Basket, and if you've seen my stories, you would also know that I did not love Fruits Basket, that I did not love the beginning of this, and neither did I unfortunately love Volume 2 of the omnibuses. And I finished it though. I finished it today, even though I did get encouragement that I don't need to finish this series, especially if I'm not enjoying it. And there were a lot of people that were surprised. I too was very surprised that I did not enjoy this manga. When I picked up volume 1, when I decided to read it, I went in, I feel like, with a pretty open mind. I didn't have any expectations for this manga because I had not seen the anime and I really just didn't know anything about this story except for the end ship, and that everybody's like, you are the main girl from Fruits Basket. And I was like, well, that's a really strong compliment because this series is just so iconic, especially in the Shojo Manga community, and I feel like just for many anime viewers that Fruits Basket is like the anime, shoujo anime I should say, and for at least probably the first half of the series, I did not connect with this series. This series was really hard for me to read, and I'm sure that many would say that this series is not an easy read, like it's not your typical shoujo fluff. But the thing was is I really debated if I wanted to even share my thoughts, because when I did share them in a very vulnerable way with somebody that's very dear, that I felt they were laughing at me, and I was very heartbroken because I was very transparent about my heart. And the thing was is so many people talk about this series and they talk about how incredible it is and how amazing it is, and they talk about the struggles of the Soma, hopefully I'm saying it right, the Soma family, but nobody ever talks about our main girl. And I did. When I read this, I identified so much with her. In fact, it was very triggering for me in that regard. Because here is the thing. Here is the thing, okay? Let me tell you a story. So there was a young girl, and this young girl grew up in a fairly happy family. She couldn't complain. She didn't really complain because she knew she was loved by her parents. Her parents would give her what she wanted. She was just very loved. Then one day she found out that her mom was pregnant with a baby, and she was excited, even though I don't think she fully understood what that meant. But she knew that her parents were happier, and she was happier because of that. But then there were some complications and things were happening with her mom, and she didn't really understand why her mom kept going to the hospital until one day her grandparents told her that her baby sister passed away, that her mom basically had had a miscarriage. Her mom was not the same happy mom before she was pregnant, and her mom kept having to go back to the hospital, and she just didn't understand until one day she came home from school and her parents were arguing, and her mom had locked herself in the bathroom. And well, I guess when she was older, looking back, that she saw that in that moment that her mom was very depressed, and at that moment was very suicidal, even though the young girl at that time didn't know that was what was going on. But her mom was taken to the hospital. Fast forward even past that, as her mom was not the same and was just very down and very depressed. Her dad was cheating on her mom with somebody, and they had been together for some time, but her mom's birthday was coming up and she was hopeful that yes, her dad promised that they would take her mom out for her birthday. They would go out to their favorite restaurant and everything would be okay. So they went to a friend's house, and her dad unexpectedly left and didn't know why. Her dad didn't come home that night. The next morning, the young girl found out that her dad, had passed away in a motorcycle accident with the woman he had been cheating on with her mom. Her life was completely devastated after that, and she struggled with so much abandonment and fear and loneliness. She went down a very dark and depressing road. She begged God that if he would just take her life and let her dad live, that her parents would be happy, because that's what she truly wanted for them. She wanted her family to be happy, for her dad to come back, for her mom to smile once again. Fast forward many years later with a lot of anger because her mom remarried and she hated her stepdad and grew with depression and anger until one day a friend of hers invited her to church and asked her, will you come see this play with me at my church? And went. She was so angry at God that she really ultimately didn't want to be there, but the play that she saw really stirred her heart. And rather than saying how much she hated God and being so angry at him, she accepted him into her heart and he completely changed her life. She grew in time to become joyful and to be happy and to experience what it is to live life to the fullest. And that young girl was me. That young girl was me. And how that plays a role with Fruits Basket is I really related to the main girl because even though I changed, and yes, like I said, that I accepted Jesus as my savior into my heart and he totally changed my life for the better. Things were never easy. I really struggled with hate towards my stepdad, and I went through a really long time that I was full of unforgiveness towards him because of the things and the decisions he had made and how it affected me and my family. And somewhere in that time, after giving my heart to Jesus and just growing as an adult and as a person, I started to learn what joy was. And I took so much joy in encouraging other people and being there for them. But with my last job, I worked with many authors and I was consistently told that I was an amazing hype girl. I was an amazing hype fan and I could encourage anybody and just was always the person to go to because I could always make somebody smile, which is never a bad thing. I was thankful that people felt encouraged by my words, that they felt encouraged that when I was with them. But somewhere in there, I felt like I lost my identity, that I could not be anything less than being happy. And reading Fruits Basket was so triggering. Those first 6 volumes were hard, and I would never reread the first 2 volumes again. If I were to watch the anime, I would never watch the beginning because it reminded me of how I went to a really great depression where I hated looking in the mirror because I felt like unless I was smiling, unless I could be there for other people, what was the point of me? What was the point? That was all of my value I felt was making other people smile. And I felt so much in the beginning that our main girl was simply a plot device, that she was simply here to make everybody else around her smile, but her own pain didn't matter. And I hated that. Oh my goodness, I hated that so very much because it was like reliving the thing I fought so hard. I left that job despite that I was told I should never leave it because I'm great at it, because everybody loves what I do. And I mean, I did enjoy what I did, but my mental health took the toll where I felt like I could be nothing else but just a happy Laura. And I am a broken person, okay? Like I shared, I do not have a childhood full of roses and laughter and there was much heartache and scarring that's there. And any good that anybody sees in me, I'm like, it's just because of Jesus. Like, this just isn't me. And I say all that because as I read the beginning of Fruits Basket, it was just like nobody sees her. Like, it's like she, like I said, is just a plot device and that she is pushed to the back burner and that she's simply there to encourage everybody else. And the more I read of her story, the more depressed I came. I literally had a night. Don't laugh, okay? Because I feel like that's where I got laughed at. That there was one night, I don't know if it was volume 4 or volume 5, that I was like, God, is this the only purpose I have? Is this the only value that I have as a human being? That all I can do is bring encouragement to other people. Do not get me wrong. I love encouraging people. Like, I do feel that that is part of my life's purpose, that my life's joy is encouraging other people, is helping them to see that they have value, that they are worth it, that they are loved, that they are chosen, that they are special. Like, that brings my heart such joy. Like, that is what I want every person I interact with to know, how loved that they are. And it just was so hard seeing this character that I related so much to, pushing her internal pain down. And I'm just like, no, you don't have to do that. But then seeing more of it and reading more of Fruits Basket, it was just like, I said, this identity crisis, that was I worth anymore? Was it okay just to be known as this happy person? because there's nothing wrong with that, but there is. Like, I wanted our main girl to know and feel that even if she broke down, that the people around her would not cast her out and be like, "You're not worth it. If you can't make me happy, what is the point of you even being here?" Because that's exactly what I felt years ago. And I can't even say years ago, like this is probably like a year ago. And I feel like I'm finally at a point, and like, praise God for this manga, because even though I will never reread this, and I do not mean that as a bash, this manga will be just like how the movie is Ride Your Wave. It is a beautiful film. I highly recommend it, but it wrecked me, okay? It was extremely triggering. And sure enough, the next day, there was a horrible motorcycle accident that triggered so many things with my dad and how much I missed him, and I just got her struggle. I told myself I would not cry in this video because I forgot my tissues, but I just related so much to that, where you push the pain away, you hide the pain away, because you really don't want to make anybody else sad. You don't want to make anybody sad on your behalf, and so you apologize for it. In fact, when I shared quite a bit of things, and this is a good time to do a shout out to her. Thank you, Pippa, because I actually finished reading this manga because of her. Even though she actually told me, like, Laura, you don't have to keep reading this. You don't even have to finish this, even at this point. I wanted to finish this because she had shared very briefly how this story had affected her, and I thought of myself, if I was in her shoes, or just even in my shoes, if somebody said that, like, that they read Haikyuu and they're like, I don't like this, I don't want to keep going, I would just internally be like, please finish it, please keep reading. And so I thought of myself, I was like, man, I want to finish this series for those who are like, Laura, I wish you would have kept going. Also because I was really afraid if I didn't finish this manga, I would get hate for not finishing it, and they'd be like, Laura, you should have just finished it. So anyway, but I want to thank Pippa. I completely got derailed on what I originally was going to say, but I wanted to just do a shout to Pippa for her loving heart and her words and encouragement as I shared some things with her. I will leave a link down to her Instagram, Strawberry Shojo. She's very kind and just very, very thankful for her friendship and for listening to my heart and not laughing at me and just accepting me, because one of the things that also drove me to finish this manga is I needed to know that our main girl would break down, because that was the hard part. Like, when I was reading, I was like, okay, am I just, like, in the beginning, to be honest, I even asked myself, do I not like this main girl because we're so alike and I hate myself? And that was a really abrupt and hard question, because I was like, no, I don't hate myself. And that is one thing that I will always be thankful for Fruits Basket, because even if nobody else in the world except for Jesus and my family and certain friends never see me anything else than just a ray of sunshine, and that's all I'm good for, this manga helped me to see that I do love myself, that I genuinely can look in the mirror every day and just be thankful for me and who I am. And that, yes, that I'm a person that will encourage everyone. I will encourage everybody else before I ever encourage myself. Like, if people think that I'm easygoing on myself, no, I am not. More often than not, every night, I will lie in bed at times, and there's times where guilt will just eat me alive. And I wish I didn't say that. I wish I would have said this. Did I make this person upset? Because I genuinely, people could say, well, Laura, you're just a people pleaser. It goes so much deeper than that I really care for other people's feelings. I just want them to know that they're loved, that they are treasured. And I am thankful for this series. That while, no, I was not completely satisfied with the very ending. I think it is a very beautiful ending, but what I wanted, I did not fully get. I do think that by the end of what I was wanting, that our main girl was seen. And I'm so thankful for Kyo, like, so very much. And I will say that as I read the ending, how beautiful of a compliment it is to be told that I'm like the main girl, because if I could ever remotely touch anybody's life as our main girl did, it would be amazing. Because by the end, the Soma family, they saw her, I feel like. Not in quite the way I wanted, because they did have a strong romance ending, which isn't bad. I just wanted a little bit more there. I don't know what it was, but I am just so thankful that the Soma family, of just what they said about her, was so beautiful and just impactful. Just so impactful. And I honestly want to live my life the same way of, just loving other people and encouraging them, but it's important to love yourself. And I don't know if our main girl fully loved herself by the end or not, but I know that she helped me to realize that I love myself and that I don't have to knock myself if I cannot always be the sunshine that I feel people want me to be or that I personally expect to be. This story was definitely one of healing and showed me the importance of friendship. And felt like I was told something that was really hurtful at the time that I read Fruits Basket, and I was so hesitant to share this video because I was laughed at for sharing my heart and not being able to say very fond things, because in the beginning I felt like our main girl was very unrealistic, that I felt like, as somebody who could identify with her, that like I was never that happy ever. Like even after I found Jesus, like I am not happy on my own. Like any joy that I have is because of him. And yes, there are definitely things that make me happy, like Haikyuu and One Piece and stuff like that. And of course like family and friends. But true joy, I believe, is found in Jesus. And I just felt like it was almost like a slap in the face in the beginning that maybe people thought that I was just a fake or a phony, like that all I can do is just be happy all the time. And it was very hurtful at first. Like I felt very hurt and very betrayed that like this is how people view me. Like I felt like she was so shallow and like I said that she was just a plot device. And I'm thankful that her story did have much more meaning than that. And I do wish that she had more page time where she herself could heal. That because I do still feel like this is Kyo and Yuki's story, that this isn't fully hers, and I so desperately want it to be hers. And that's not to slight Yuki or Kyo or any of the Soma family, but I just wanted people to know like that her story is no less significant or less important because she doesn't have the same scars that Yuki and Kyo do, that she does not have that same kind of pain. Like her pain is not less significant because it's not as great as another. And after talking with Pippa and her being such a safe place for me to share, I just really wanted to film this video so that other people like me can just know that they are valued and that there is so much more to them, because I feel like, again, that when people talk about Fruits Basket, they never talk about our main girl. They just talk about how she helped Yuki and Kyo, which is great. And like I said, I mean, if I could ever be in a position that's like her, like our main girl, and be able to touch somebody's life like she did, I mean, that would be such an incredible blessing. Like that is something I truly hope that I can touch people in that same kind of way and just share love and hope with them, because they are just the fundamentals of life, in my opinion. Like we need those things to thrive and to grow and to heal. And again, because Pippa was a safe place, then I was able to share. I feel like I was able to share this video and my thoughts on it, because when I was talking to my husband, he's like, you shouldn't say that you don't like Fruits Basket. And I would just say just for the beginning, okay? I wouldn't say for the whole thing for sure. He's like, you shouldn't say that. He says, you are connecting with this story. He said, but you're just connecting with this story in a different way than other people are. And I felt like that's so true, but I was so scared to voice that. And maybe because I said I got laughed at and such, but this definitely is a very moving series. It's very powerful, and the way that the mangaka wrote the characters and their pain and how we see so much into their hearts and into their lives, that hope is just an incredible thing. I mean, seeing how people can affect one another, whether that's positively or negatively, is, I mean, the consequences of that action of, treating other people positively or negatively is really explored through every single character in this series, whether good or bad. It was a very emotional, moving experience, I think. I mean, I definitely struggled through the whole thing in the sense of, our main girl, that I just so often when she was on page that I'm like, it is okay for you to break in this moment. It's okay. Like you saying, her talking about our main girl, you saying that you must just keep your chin up and keep going. It's okay to put your chin down. And I don't know if I said it earlier because I kept getting emotional, wanted to cry, and so I kept losing my train of thought. But this series helped me to see that real friends will see you. They will see you for who you are. And like Kyo told her, you're not going to scare me off. I'm still going to be there for you. And I am so thankful for the friends that are there. Like, I mean, maybe think people, like, there's times I'm like, I don't think people realize how grateful I am that they're there, that people, that even you as a viewer take the time to hear my story and listen what I'm sharing. Like, that's time out of your day to listen to something that I am saying. Like, I treasure that. That means so much to me. And so when people say, go out of their way to just reach out and just say things to me, that I'm like, it really means a lot. Like, none of that goes unnoticed. Like, just with the main girl, when she sees everybody starting to change, it does not go unnoticed. It really, really doesn't. I will say the mangaka really stood behind each of these characters and made sure by the end. I'm not gonna say that they got a happy ending, because maybe they got a real life happy ending. They still had struggles, they still had fears, they still had just struggles that from all of those years, and how it affected them even when they were older. But I'm just glad that she stood behind these characters and that we were able to see healing take place in every single one of them, even the villain or the antagonist, maybe I should say, because I don't know what I would have done otherwise. And like I said, I mean, even though I was very happy with the end, I just hope that when people read this story, from at least from my point of view and what I'm sharing, they just do not forget the people like the main girl. Like, do not let them slide under the cracks, because there are more times than not that, yeah, I've hid my pain behind a door and I keep it shut and locked with numerous locks, because I don't want people to know that I'm not always who I seem to be. Like, not saying I'm faking it, I'm definitely not saying that, but that, it comes down to, like, would you still care for me or value me if you knew that I'm not always a ray of sunshine? That's why I admire Hinata so much. I know I call him Sunshine Boy, but I'm like, he really is my fictional senpai. I love him and I feel like he is sunshine, but he's so relatable. And I'm like, I hope I can be like him one day and always just keep reaching and always just encouraging the people around him, no matter what. Just, I guess, like our main girl is, but I wish that she could have been able to heal so much quicker than the end. It was a long journey for me, and there were times I'm like, I don't want to keep reading this whatsoever. I just want to stop, because I just feel like I'm enduring this heartache on her behalf. I mean, everybody else's story was very heart-wrenching. I'm not saying that, but the times that I wanted to cry, it always involved our main girl. Always involved her, because I wanted so much for her, and I'm thankful that in the end that she did have a happy ending, that she was seen. That was the number one thing I wanted and why I kept going. My iPod was not charged when I went to film this, and so it gave me a warning that it's almost over. So I will say that overall, I think I liked Fruits Basket. I'm sorry to every single person that was very bummed that I did not love this, and this unfortunately will not be my top 10 favorites mangas. I probably will not watch the anime. I said it will be like Ride Your Wave, where it will hold a special place in my heart, because one thing I feel like I've struggled with for many, many years is that I do not love myself the same way I love other people, that the way that I would show how they have value and how I treasure them is not how I value and treasure myself. But our main girl, she helped me to see that I am valued, that I am cherished, and that I am treasured. And I said cherished. I feel like I said that weird. And I'm thankful for that. I will always be thankful for Fruits Basket for helping me have that breakthrough and just to love on myself. And I was gonna say be true to myself, but I don't think it's that. I think it's loving yourself and accepting that there's some things you don't like about yourself. And I'm talking about myself, because that would be me. But I was like, I can look in the mirror because I know that I'm loved, and loving me is important. It's important, just as important as valuing and loving other people. And I hope and I pray that after reading this series, that coming to a place where I love me, I hope that I can love other people even more. So thank you, manga community, for encouraging me to read this series. I'm glad that I did, and I'm so sorry again to anybody who's like, Laura, it should be in your top 10 favorites. It won't be, but it will always hold a special place in my heart, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen to my story. And yes, if you, I guess, enjoyed this video, or just, I don't know, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And again, I'm really thankful just for you taking the time to hear my thoughts, hear my story, and yeah, I guess that wraps it up. Bye!